Call of Duty Zombies, while seemingly a staple in the Call of Duty franchise in the modern perspective, is realistically nothing more than a simple side mode that branches off of the traditional multiplayer in Warzone that many are attracted to in the modern day. This of course has been altered significantly with the release of Black Ops 6, as while fan reception within the mode has been extremely mixed, especially with controversies surrounding the game as well as the quality of the recent map The Tomb, the Zombies mode has seen a lot more positives compared to the other modes in the game. However, in years past, Call of Duty Zombies was nothing more than a simple side mode that was heavily outcompeted by the other modes within any given game, but had grown so different from Call of Duty as a whole that it almost felt like a completely new game. For years, fans have yearned for a game that was simply developed just to feature the Zombies mode, and many videos and ideas have been made as to how this would entirely work. But while ideas like this were something fans often dreamed about, it was generally agreed upon that a standalone Zombies game would never be developed. That would change, however, and in this video we will be discussing the unknown Zombies games that would unfortunately be completely lost to time after their initial conception. So let us delve into one of the most upsetting cases of a Zombies mode that was once so large and how it has truly affected the vision many had on this topic in the present day. The idea of a standalone Call of Duty Zombies game is like the idea of a mythical creature such as Pegasus or a centaur. We know for a fact it is not real, but we often have discussions as to what it could be like if it were actually to exist as a physical being. Many in the present day have come to accept the idea that it most likely would not happen simply due to the unwillingness of developers and higher-ups to create such a mode. Well, in this specific case, the idea of a standalone Zombies game was not entirely foreign to the developers themselves and was once a topic of significant discussion among them. But in order to completely understand this situation, we need to fully dive into how this information was found and how a standalone Zombies game was actually in the works for Call of Duty Zombies. Back in January of last year, documents were released that explicitly state the existence of a standalone Zombies game being in development in the early 2010s. From November 2011 to around June of 2012, a standalone Call of Duty Zombies game was apparently in development by the team of Raven Software, which may spark confusion at first listen. Generally, the main Zombies focus on Call of Duty games is seen within the development of games under the Treyarch title. So upon this information and its release, many were confused as to why Raven was developing such a mode. It was more likely that Raven was developing this Zombies mode in the gap between Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 to truly discover the potential of the Zombies mode and what it had to offer. But eventually, however, Treyarch would pull this development from this game entirely, supposedly for the release of Black Ops 2 in the later months of 2012, which makes sense in the modern context but may not have been the right decision entirely. This specific information was leaked by the former lead developer of this project, Michael Gummelt, through his LinkedIn profile, which states he was, quote, lead designer on an ambitious new Call of Duty Zombies live service project, cancelled when the ATVI studio that owned the part of the Call of Duty IP wanted it back. End quote. As heard by the quote from Michael's LinkedIn profile, this specific standalone Zombies game was meant to be a live service project, which for those unfamiliar is a game that is constantly updated over time rather than releasing separate games. Some examples of this ideology in the modern era of gaming include games such as Fortnite, Destiny 2, and even games like GTA Online. This is extremely significant, however, as while live service games are essentially the main focus of gaming in the present day, the idea of a live service game was extremely uncommon back in the early 2010s. While admittedly this would not have been the first live service game, which was actually generally accepted to be World of Warcraft, which launched in 2004, this would have been one of the first of its kind that would have established a very popular niche prior to the hype seen after the release of games like Fortnite in 2017. Since this game was not developed by Treyarch, however, it is interesting to speculate on what this this game could hold. It would not be too far-fetched to state that this game could not even be completely round-based whatsoever, as with it being a standalone zombies game, it could have features that were not traditionally seen in Treyarch zombies up to that point. Raven Software had not developed any form of zombies up to this point, as they had all been done by Treyarch prior and would not actually develop a zombies mode until the release of Advanced Warfare in 2015, which most consider a complete and utter failure of a mode due to its lack of enjoyment. While it may have been difficult to develop around a game as unique as Advanced Warfare, the systems put in place in this mode would have been devastating and completely a misdirection in terms of what people would have wanted from a standalone game. However, speculation aside, there is no more information present as to what this game would have contained or what was occurring during development. Unfortunately, all there is left to do is speculate about the possibilities of this mode, and all of the information here is extremely surprising as I had no knowledge of this prior to the creation of this video. While this is all very surprising and exciting, upon further research I discovered a revelation that was absolutely insane to hear about. There was not one, but two separate projects that were related to a standalone zombies game in this mode's history. That's correct. While the statistical likelihood of this would be nearly impossible to many a couple years ago, it was once a developed idea that could have been extremely influential in the gaming sphere. A couple months after the initial discovery of the standalone zombies game in development during the early 2010s, another extremely surprising fact was discovered by fans of the mode. A once prominent figure in the Call of Duty Zombies scene, Lee Ross, made a tweet on March 24th, 2024 that would absolutely shock the community and alter the perspectives of development for many. For those who are unfamiliar, Lee Ross is the former developer of the zombies mode scene in Infinite Warfare Zombies, and is generally very well respected amongst fans of the zombies mode as a whole for creating a fantastic game outside of the Treyarch sphere. Lee Ross would eventually be sent over to Treyarch during the time of Black Ops 4 to work on the blackout mode seen in the game, and eventually would leave Treyarch in May of 2020, separating himself from the Call of Duty sphere entirely. With that knowledge aside, his tweet made in March of last year states, quote, "I can only say that once upon a time, in a galaxy far away, in the land that time forgot, you kinda sorta had Jason Blundell and Lee Ross working on a standalone zombies game not attached to Call of Duty. Almost." End quote. This statement by Lee Ross was a absolute bombshell to the majority of zombies players, as not only were debatably the two best zombies developers both working on a form of zombies at the same time, but they were making a standalone game itself. For those who are unfamiliar with Jason Blundell, Jason is highly regarded as one of, if not the best zombies developers in the scene for his work towards the mode and how much passion he delved into each and every map, with his catalog including maps such as Der Eisendrache and Mob of the Dead. He would leave Treyarch during the life cycle of Black Ops 4 and would start his own gaming company, Deviation Games, which would eventually be shut down, and he supposedly works somewhere in Sony now as a background developer. With that aside, it is safe to say fans of this mode, including myself, went absolutely insane hearing this news, because knowing that these two masterminds of zombies development were working on the same game at one point was insane. There is almost no information provided about this game, however, but speculation as to when it was in development seems to be pretty concrete. Lee Ross and Jason Blundell both were free from the shackles of any studio during the mid-2020 months, which, while difficult due to COVID, was most likely the time when this was in talks. A picture of the two together taken in 2020 also suggests this, with another zombies developer, Cameron Dayton of Sledgehammer Games, which is absolutely insane and would have been one of the most insane zombies modes ever developed. With the amount of things Jason was looking to do in Black Ops 4, who knows where the zombies mode could have gone and how much could have actually been included within its content. To this day, Lee Ross has not come out about any information about this since, and unfortunately he has been radio silent on X since early December of last year. The thought of a standalone zombies game has always been spoken of legend for the past years of Call of Duty Zombies, and so many videos, ideas, and game designs designs have been created by community members that have sparked interest for a game like this. It is so interesting to see that some members of the Call of Duty development team had the same vision, and it is extremely interesting to look back on the history of game development for these projects. I am almost certain in the present day that a standalone zombies game will never exist under the Call of Duty IP, as with the common practices of greed and the higher-ups' desire for money, it wouldn't make much economical sense to launch a zombies-only game. While it is unlikely to happen, there is always still hope, and one day I hope that we can experience a game that has all of the features of old zombies with new maps that feel fresh. However, that's all I've got. If you guys enjoyed, please hit like and subscribe, and with that said, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.